This is Lee Ridley. I was lucky enough to achieve 2 promotions with Scunthorpe United, but nothing compares to the joy I experience when listening to the Iron Hour podcast. Just a heads up, this podcast contains strong language, the good stuff. If this isn't for you, turn off now. For the rest of you, now fucking enjoy the podcast.
Right, listeners, welcome to another edition of the Iron Hour podcast. I'm your host, Barrett. I'm joined by my usual panel. I've got Iron Army, Marco, and I'm going to say it this time, published author Max Bell. I've not mentioned it for a few episodes, so I thought I'd get it in today. You haven't got on your screen today, Iron Legends. There it is. 20 Legends there. And there she is, the Max we all know. So before we get into the football, I think today is a day of celebration, chaps. I won't say they've announced the deal for the stadium, but the contracts have been exchanged. It's looking very promising. If I can just have your initial reaction to that, Max.
Yeah, it's a good step. Anybody who has ever bought a house, particularly if you're in a chain, will know that if you exchange contracts, that 95% of the time you get the deal over the line. This is Scunthorpe United. Things can always go wrong. I wouldn't want us all to buy the champagne just yet, but it was good news. It was on the timescales we were expecting. We've had the additional news as well that Simon Elliott and George Aikenhead have gone on the board of directors. So yeah, it's been a good week. We're closer to the finish line now.
I guess, Gareth, at times it seemed pretty desperate being an Iron fan over the past couple of months, couple of years. What was that feeling like this morning at kind of around 10:30?
I think we knew it was coming. It's some of us, there was lots of talk about it. So when it was actually just, that contracts are being exchanged, I think it's just a good feeling to be a Scunthorpe fan. Just like you say, we've had so much despair this past couple of months, past couple of years. And I just think a little bit of news like this, it just keeps building that momentum into getting everything back. Like I say, contracts are exchanged. So hopefully at the end of the month, it'll all be finalised and we're going to be even happier.
Yeah, I think we'd probably just read through the official statement just to give our listeners kind of a recap on what's happened. And those, that aren't Scunthorpe fans, maybe just kind of a holistic view on where we are as a club. So the statement reads, Scunthorpe United is delighted to confirm that contracts have been exchanged as planned for the ongoing purchase of Glanford Park. The board of directors have been working tirelessly behind the scenes, have secured the immediate future of the club in October, with discussions progressing positively since the club's statement to meet the target of mid-November, which is obviously where we're at right now. The statement goes on, the club anticipate that completion will be towards the back end of November. And then there's an update directly from the board. I'll just briefly skim over it. So the board of directors, we are ecstatic to announce that we've exchanged the contracts for the purchase of Glanford Park. It's a monumental effort from everyone involved. They go on then to talk about the obstacles, the bumps in the road that they've overcome and how hard everyone has worked kind of over the past few months to get this done. Marco, I think the take home for me there is that completion could be extremely soon.
Yeah, just going back to obviously that statement where I said we're ecstatic with the bumps. Obviously, it's no secret that the past owners haven't been the easiest to deal with regarding getting the stadium over the line. So I think we all know now we've got obviously a board who have their best interests at heart. And one huge piece of sort of that final puzzle, as Max said, it's getting this over the line. Then we've got nothing to worry about off the pitch. It's looking forward and just worried about beating teams like Kings Lynn.
No, quite true. I guess, Max, I was reading this brief statement from the Iron Trust this afternoon, and that reads, and this, I think for me, this is kind of a big discussional topic point. So the statement reads, the ACV has played a monumental role in helping the club negotiate a deal with the former owner, Mr. Swan. We have worked with various parties and people to assist this process, including North Lincolnshire Council, Unfortunately, I've written that down wrong, so I can't quite see what that says. And Peter Swan himself. And then it finishes with United We Stand. So I think for me, the crucial thing there is, again, we've been talking about this ACV for a while now, and kind of getting that status that the Iron Trust was so instrumental in doing has played a massive role in this, Max.
Yeah, I agree. I think a strong supporters trust is an asset to any club. It doesn't matter whether or not you're Scunthorpe or Manchester United, really. In Germany, for example, people talk about the 50% plus one rule. Those are supporters trusts that run the organisations. Um, I know I'm a little bit biased because I used to be on the board there, and I am still a member of the trust. But I think, yeah, it was a good statement. For anybody who's not aware, an ACV, it's an acronym. It stands for Asset of Community Value. So not just football grounds, but community type places can be applied for that status. Which then, if the current owner then tries to sell them to theoretically run them as something else, you get a 6-month period to where they're not allowed to sell it, not as a going concern. The Lincoln pub in Scunthorpe, for example, has got an ACV over it as well. And it's certainly opened up opportunities for the trust, but also makes it more difficult for you to sell that site and it then not be a football club, which is good. You need safeguards like that in place. So, whether or not it's the board, whether or not it's the current members of staff, whether or not it's the players, whether or not it's the trust, ordinary supporters. There's been so much work that's gone in to try and get the club back on an even keel and back to this point. And yeah, if we can get to the end of November with the ground finally back, then then it'll be drunks all round.
Gareth, I think an important thing to note as well is that in 2021, it was in fact the Iron Trust that applied to the North Lincolnshire Council for the land, the land including Glanford Park and the surrounding area, to be declared as an asset of community value. So again, probably just want to highlight how instrumental the trust have been in kind of buying the club some time. But the foresight that they've had really has kind of helped massively, hasn't it?
Yeah, I know they get a lot of stick, or they had a lot of stick over certain things, announcements coming out, and the trust should be doing more on this and that just recently. But like you say, back in 2021, they were doing work, and it's helped massively for the club, for the community. I think that's what it is. The community's got to get involved now.
Yeah, I think for me that's a crucial thing. Obviously, it'd be wrong of us to speculate on the amount that's been exchanged for the deal for the ground. That would be wrong. But I think we can all assume it'd be a large pot of money, and I think it would also be a fair assumption to come to the conclusion that external parties have maybe helped with getting these funds sourced. So again, I think it kind of lends itself to the point again, which is people in the community, business people, big businesses, whatever that is, have kind of grouped together and got this over the line, Marco.
Yeah, well, you can see the example there with Iron Trust. Obviously, when we were sort of at our lowest, it just showed how everybody coming together with a fundraiser. Trust obviously making it into the ACV, and them doing that, and obviously all the donations from rival clubs to really high profile people actually getting involved and just showing what the club means. I think it just shows, like you said, that everybody coming together, pulling as a unit, and the Iron Trust have been a vital part of that. And long may it continue.
No, you're absolutely right there. You're absolutely right there. I think for me, there's been a lot of kind of key moments in the development over the past few months, as we've said, what's come to light with the trust, but the fundraiser, that £70,000 was genuinely instrumental, I think, in getting people paid, in that kind of, what was it? It was kind of like what's the word? That interim period, So I think Max, probably just again coming to you. Well, while the Iron were in purgatory over those couple of weeks, couple of months, what's the contrast now? How do you feel now?
Yeah, it's certainly contrast. I mean, it's as you say, I do genuinely think that £70,000 was instrumental really. And I know we got chatting again with Tom Snowden of Banbury, who was played a massive role in bringing people to the table. So that's 70 grand that people don't have to find, but it also then bought you more time for, as you say, the interim period for then a takeover to happen and for the lights to stay on and the wheels to stay on the proverbial car. So, I'm still looking forward to a boring, quiet week at some point. It has felt like in the last couple of weeks we've been able to focus. Excuse me, sorry, we've been able to focus the supporters a little bit more on the on-field action, for better or worse. Marco mentioned Kings Lynn already, obviously. But as we say, if we can get to the end of November, there really is a big pot of light at the end of the tunnel. So, well done to everybody who's got us this far, and whether or not it's just supporters buying burgers and donating to the club, with the initiative that Danny Stamp and the Smoking Goat have run recently, whether or not it's been donating to the fundraiser, whether or not it's been lobbying whoever they can, the council, the MP, whether or not it's just buying tickets and taking friends and going to games and trying to put cash in the club's tills to keep the lights on. I think it's been a fantastic effort from so many people. And yeah, I wish it had never got this far, but when it did, everybody rallied round and everyone deserves huge credit for that fact.
Do you know what, Max? Absolute nail on the head there, buddy. What you say about, it's kind of easy to highlight the organisations that have stepped forward, but actually the fan base, I think to be completely honest, a lot of us have been quite self-critical of the fan base growing up. I remember being told by one of my peers once that we were like the most negative fan base ever when we was in the championship, but the truth is I honestly can't believe how much we've grouped together and kind of toughened up, as it were, and kind of just got on with things over the past few months. And really the strength of the people in the town, it's been utterly ridiculous, Gareth.
Yeah, no, like I say, just going back to like the bucket collection at the ground. I stood in the farmhouse with a bucket, and I can't remember her name now, but she came up to me and said, "Do you want me to walk around with this bucket and get money off people?" I said, "Yeah." So she was walking around people, just and they were donating. They didn't have to. They're enjoying the food. But
was it me? I was going to say, was it? Hey, what you are? Who's that?
Yeah, I'll take this. You're all right.
Yeah, but just the generosity of people, that aren't even football fans as well.
Yeah,
they just don't want to see the club go under, and they just donated, and it's just it's just so nice to see, like young kids, old people, spending the pension, and it's just it was just good, just a good feel about it, and there still is a good feel about it, and it just needs to be built on now.
No. That's it. Perfect. I think we'll draw a line on the sand for now. We'll move on to footballing matters, and let's try to stay positive for as long as we can. It's been a few games since we had our last podcast, so there's a lot to cover. Let's first kick off. 6-0 win at home against Spennymoor, 6-1 win against Bishop Stortford at home. Fantastic free flowing iron, Max.
Yeah, I mean, we might cover it later in the Iron Stats section, but I'm going to jump the gun. So it was the first time in successive games we'd scored 5 goals, never mind 6. You can only beat what's put in front of you. I know people are saying Bishop Stortford in particular didn't play that well, but Spennymoor have been up at the top end of the table. They've been in the playoffs pretty much all season. And you couldn't say that the goals were undeserved or that we've been the beneficiary of particularly bad refereeing decisions that can change games sometimes. So yeah, I thought they were excellent performances just when we needed them most. When everyone had rallied round, then your attention switches to the football. A couple of wins at home, psychologically, so big.
And Marco, obviously you'd been at a couple of those games we just mentioned there. Have you seen? When was the last time you saw us attack like that, scoring such free flow?
No, we're lovely. Obviously, Spennymoor sort of Clunan had just sort of properly got back into the fold after his little layoff. Been really impressed with him. But like you said, obviously coming back to free flowing, like Max said, he can't control his put in front of you. But I think Spennymoor especially, I expected a bit of a tougher game. And I actually think they were probably worse than Bishop Stortford. I thought at least they had a little bit about them. But again, it's just nice to see goals, isn't it? We're going to I remember last Saturday, I left the ground disappointed we'd only won 2-0. So do you know what I mean? How that shows how far we've came. We're all going there with this idea we're going to score 5, 6 every game, which probably isn't healthy, but it's just good for. I mean, that's going to get fans on seats, which is the main thing. Kids are going to want to go back. Goals win games. That's what people pay money to see is goals. And besides from Tuesday evening, touch wood, we've been fantastic. But there is going to be blips, but obviously we'll come to that.
And Gareth, let's just park Tuesday's game for now. Up until that point, we'd only conceded 2 goals in the last 5 games. I make it so. Well, we were looking pretty defensively tight going into Tuesday's game.
Yeah. No, we've looked pretty good all over the park actually. I just think, we've just looked good. We've just looked on it. We've looked up for it, and I just, just leaving Tuesday aside, I just couldn't see anyone beat us. Just the way we've been playing, just a bit of confidence and just a bit of flair as well, just like the passing and movement.
Yeah, the previous Tuesday against Banbury, sometimes I think I'm watching a different game to everyone else, because at half time I turned to you, didn't I, Gareth, and said, "Yeah, we've been pretty decent there," and you said, "Pretty decent. That's the best I've ever seen us play."
Yeah,
I think we were on it, weren't we?
Yeah, no, we were. We just everything we did, it just seemed to, we just didn't get the amount of goals that I thought we deserved from it. That first half, everything just for me just clicked. And I've said before we've clicked in games, but that first 45, we just clicked. We were just the tempo, everything, the passing, the movement, everything just fell into place for me.
And Max, I guess the second half, the second 45 of that game was the complete opposite of that. We'd already got the goals. We'd done the hard work. It was just a case of stepping down through the gears, controlling the game and seeing it out without doing anything flashy and without taking any risks.
Yeah, and obviously, we did score a third at the far end. It was disallowed for offside. So, and as you say, I think it's about managing the game, but also, Banbury did have a bit of a rocket put up their posteriors at half time. You're going to get a reaction from a side in the second half when they're 2-0 down. They're at home, particularly as then they were attacking our end, if you like. But we've seen it with both Banbury and Kings Lynn at the last couple of Tuesdays. The supporters are all gathering in the second half. When you're attacking that end, they're walking around the stadium, they're getting a bit of an atmosphere going. I thought we managed the game quite well. Obviously we were there, but even if you listen back to the commentary or for the people who were watching on National League TV, the Banbury commentators were very complimentary about Scunthorpe in the first half. How we were moving the ball, the pacing and incision in the final third. We've seen plenty of passages of play this season where we haven't made our dominance pay. That was the difference for me at Banbury. You go into the second half of 1-0, totally different game, very nervy defensively. Whereas, thankfully, that second goal's a massive cushion. And I know people talk about 2-0 being a dangerous scoreline, but it's a lot less dangerous than 1-0, as our trip to Kings Lynn this Tuesday proved.
Last point before we get on to the Kingsland game, Marco. Again, you were at the Gloucester game at home on Saturday. You mentioned that briefly just then. What was kind of the standout for you on Saturday? Because again, it didn't really feel like we got out of second, third gear.
Yeah, I think it was similar to the Banbury second half, possibly a bit of a hangover. I do think we are going to have to win games like that. So sort of that second half wasn't the end of the world to sort of get that experience into him, because every game's not going to be 5-0, 6-0. So to have a game like where Max said it's game management, it's seeing the game out and taking those points, because I think that's something we really need to improve on playing away. When we got that first goal the other day, it's getting the second, it's getting third, and it's sitting off, calming the game down. Kings Lynn sort of just got the tails up, and we sort of need that nous, which I don't think we had Tuesday. Obviously, I'm coming to it. I don't think we had it, because we just haven't got that sort of. We've not had to do it yet. If we win, it's convincing. If we lose, we've played really poor. It's not because of stupid mistakes or silly decisions. It's, but yeah, Gloucester. I think I mentioned on our Twitter. I really don't think we came out first to second gear, and I actually left the ground sort of disappointed, which is madness. Because, do you know what I mean? Last year we'd have killed to beat anyone 2-0. But yeah, I do think at home we've sort of sussed it and it's getting on the front foot. An early goal, and it literally does seem to be game over. Without sounding big-headed, but it does. So it's just the away form. I'm sure you're going to bring that up.
Well, we've danced around it enough, haven't we? I think we've got to talk about it now. And there's no other way to, we can't dress it up. It was absolutely fucking terrible on Tuesday, wasn't it, Gareth?
It was. Yeah, I think you just nailed it on the head there by describing it like that. It was, for me, we take the lead, we get an early goal, like Marco just said before. It's like early goal, and it's like game over. And yeah, we got the early goal, and it was game over for us. It just Kings Lynn, they just wanted it. They just looked up for it. It's the widest pitch as well in the National League North, I was told, on the day. And we didn't make any use of it really at all. They were just using the width. They had a man over all the time, it felt like. And yeah, we just weren't up for it. I know we're going to get games like that, but we've got to be better at managing it.
Well, this is it, isn't it? We can't expect to win every game, and obviously we're going to get games where we come against team who are on it and do a job on us. But the frustration for me, and I just cannot move away from it, is, as you mentioned, the width of the pitch, and we have a team that are there to get at teams on the wing at pace, driving with real force, passing it between the lines, moving it across, and all we were doing with the widest pitch in the world was just passing it the width of the pitch, passing it sideways all game. I said to Max, do you know what we need to do? We need to pass it sideways a bit more. That's all we were doing, just sideways movement. It was so frustrating for me, Max. I don't know how you saw it.
I mean, yeah, it was frustrating. I was on record before the game. I just had a bit of a funny feeling about it. I didn't totally fancy us. It felt a lot like the Curzon Aston game, to be honest. Just without the weather. As soon as the side sits with, particularly a bank of 5 and then either 3 or 4, it makes it really difficult for us to break them down away from home. We've struggled with that. Having got in front of 1-0, that should have been a massive opportunity for us to put a marker down, at least getting at the break at 1-0. But to concede twice in 3 minutes, in a way, the first time when there's been a real passage of play where I thought we're really shaking here defensively. It felt like a game from last season or the season before where the game just totally flips on its head in 5 minutes. And obviously, Adam Lakeland, the manager at Kings Lynn on Tuesday night, was the manager at Curzon Aston when they beat us 1-0 earlier on in the season. So if I was an opposition manager, I'd be looking at that as a template and going, right, that's how you beat Scunthorpe, particularly if you're at home and we're on the road. That's got to change straight away. And I know we've now got a run of 3 home games on the spin, so there's a real opportunity there for us to take away 3 wins, and psychologically, you forget about the loss, but our away form is now perfectly mediocre. It's 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats. So I don't want that to be the thing that potentially costs us promotion, because right about now it looks like it might be.
If I tell you what, if that Lakeland turns up at Darlington tomorrow, we're fucked. But no, I think Marco, seriously, Whitehall has looked really impressive over these past kind of 5-6 games. Thought he was a bit ineffective on Tuesday. I don't know if it was the way we played, with literally just trying to lump the ball up to him and expecting or asking him to hold it up. I don't know how you kind of interpreted the game on Tuesday, particularly Whitehall's performance.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned about the pitch, because I watched it on National League TV. It actually looked like they'd made it smaller. So it was like a fake line where the pitch was previously, and then it looked like they'd made it a little bit narrower. So
yeah, I tell you what, I did notice. Obviously, I was there. That I did notice, although it was very wide, there was still a massive gap between the touchline of the side we were on and the railings, shall we say?
It looked like a good 4 or 5 yards, and I think they've maybe made it smaller purposely to stop our width. But I mean, that's no excuse. Coming on to Whitehall, again, it seems to be if Whitehall plays well, the team plays well. He's our main focal point. Seems to be that he's ahead in the pecking order of Elliott. And he's got the goals to back it up. I thought first half on Tuesday he did quite well, and you could see he was trying to make things happen. It's not for lack of effort. I really, like you said, I really just don't think we're playing to his strengths by just sort of hitting and hoping. And like you said, the rest of the game was all sideways passing, so it's no good for him at all. He wants to be holding it up. He wants balls to run onto because he's not the slowest. Yeah, I've been really impressed with Whitehall this season. He's someone I do like, and like I mentioned earlier about game management, I think he's possibly the biggest shithouse going. So I'm a massive fan of Whitehall. Sometimes it can distract from his overall game. I have noticed that. But yeah, Tuesday was okay. I've got no worry about Whitehall. But it will be interesting to see, obviously, Elliott coming back to full fitness now, who gets the nod, because I'll obviously mention our wingers. They've both been really impressive that Tuesday. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think you made a point there that I probably disagree with, if I'm being honest. So you said about Elliott being below Whitehall in the pecking order. I don't think Jimmy Dean sees it like that. I don't think
As a centre forward.
Yeah, correct. So this is what I was going to say. I don't think he sees Elliott as a centre forward. I don't think he ever envisages him taking his spot unless Whitehall got injured, you know. So I see what you're saying now. I think Elliott will always play in one of those wider positions. So Gareth, I guess it was good to see him back in contention over the past couple of games. And also, although we went off late on, it's looking like it's not such a big deal. Good to see Cal Roberts back in contention as well.
Yeah, definitely. I say when he went down on Tuesday night, I think I was fearing the worst at his leg or something. I didn't realise it was a clash of heads.
Yeah.
I was sort of posting my viewpoint a bit. So yeah, to see like on media afterwards that it wasn't as bad as first feared, and that he's looking good. He's going to be back for the weekend. That's great news. Not only for us fans but for him. He needs to be out on the pitch doing what he does and getting that time. Because he's only going to get better. I think we're just seeing he's getting back into the team, getting back on the grass, and things take time, but I think he'll come good, definitely.
I tell you what, lads, if I hear Underdog by Kasabian one more time, if I never hear it again, it'll be too soon. Because all I could hear all night on Tuesday when I was sleeping, I was waking up in the middle of the night, I could hear it. For those of you that weren't there on Tuesday, that was Kings Lynn's goal song. It was absolutely doing my fucking head in.
I thought I don't think it's I mean, it's not a bad song, it's a good song, but it's just not a goal song vibe, if you get me. It's just like, it's like the equivalent of like just scoring a goal and bang Robbie Williams on. It's not have like normally, I mean, overseas in like Italy and Germany, it's sort of like techno, it's bouncy. I mean, we have ours, which has been going in my head, like you say, with the Kings Lynn one, with our recent wins, 6-1 and 6-0. But yeah, I do. On to go music. I would like to change ours.
What
to
is it?
To
Kings. Yeah. No, not to Kings Lynn's. I mean, I guess one more thing I wanted to talk about the game, maybe a little bit controversial, but I tell you what, I was quite happy with Jimmy Dean in his post-match interview. Kind of, he mentioned the Kings Lynn's fans. I don't want to be bitter, but some of the chanting and some of the kind of the noise coming from their fans on Tuesday was honestly absolutely disgraceful, Max.
I mean, was it? Look,
For me, it was. I mean, some of the language that was being used were.
You just sworn twice in the last 5 minutes. I mean,
yes, but Lee Ridley said at the start it's okay.
No, where are my pearls to put? Look, I mean, I thought the chant they stole off Millwall was a bit cringe, but I would struggle to claim that I thought there was any behaviour that I thought was disgusting. The bit that I genuinely thought was a bit odd, that I'd never seen at any football match before, was the Scunthorpe fans. We were the bit undercover. We were stood down the side, and then there was the little bit of the open terrace behind the goal where the refreshment hut was. Then there was a section of Kings Lynn fans to the left of that goal, and then there was the Scunny fans sat in the other corner. Like, I've never seen home fans sandwiched Quite literally. I mean, it's a good job that we're not a horrible bunch because, you could have come at the Kings Lynn fans from both sides there.
Yeah.
But look, we're going to have to get used to the fact that we're going to go to grounds where fans are going to be close to the pitch. It's going to be quite a big, quite a big game for them. They're going to be up for it. Kings Lynn fans were always going to be up for it, given our number of our players' ex-connections. Obviously, Dean managed at Peterborough Sports, which isn't that far from Kings Lynn. Well, Kings Lynn's far from everywhere, but Peterborough's about as close as it gets. I didn't think it was particularly bad. There was fewer police there than Banbury, which I thought was at least a positive. So, we've just got to play better away from home, and if we won, nobody would.
There's definitely too many police at Banbury, but I think it's possible we maybe heard different things, because I definitely heard what I would describe as, kind of like discriminatory chanting and stuff. And it, like I say, for me personally, did not sit right. And obviously,
I didn't hear anything.
Well,
I didn't hear anything like that. I heard them alleging as to whether or not there was a Scunthorpe player who was promiscuous romantically. But I definitely didn't hear anything that I thought was discriminatory, because you know me, I'm the first to call that rubbish out. But
no, I think for me, again, it was backed up by the fact that on the PA system, they were, again, I think twice they reminded the fans about the language and the inclusive nature that you need to represent when you're at a football match. So
I didn't
probably you weren't there.
No. The TV had sound.
Yeah.
And you're Italian, Marco. Anything goes in Italian football.
Yeah, no, like Barra said, the one positive from that, obviously, if you can sort of make positive, is that not many people did hear it. So it shows it's a minority, which is a good, as bad as it sounds, it's a good thing, and it's not mass. We've all seen it. We're going to get more of that in non-league. Every team's got those individuals. It needs calling out, 100%. But like Max said before, these games, obviously, discriminatory language aside, the fans are going to be nasty. It's going to be hostile. It's their big day. Without trying to sound too sort of full of ourselves, it's their cup final. This is the one they'll be looking for on the fixture list, because a lot of them, especially Kings Lynn, when's the last time they've played a former championship team or someone as big as us? So I think we're going to have to expect a lot more of that.
No, cool. Right, move on then. I guess my next question would be what our assessment would be of the season so far, and kind of like Jimmy Dean so far. What do we all think?
If you had to rate it, I'd say 8 out of 10. Jimmy Dean, like I've seen a lot on Twitter, I think a lot of knee-jerk reactions after a Kings Lynn game. I think when people sort of sit back and realise what we have actually done, and some of the football we have played has been, honestly, I had National League TV the other day described as poetry in motion. I mean, when's the last time Scunthorpe have been described as poetry in motion? So I do think Jimmy Dean is the guy. But again, fed up of saying it, it's the away form. We sort that out, and I don't see anyone stopping us. I am still very confident we should be going up as champions. We've played the teams at the top. Not been overly impressed. We beat Tamworth away. We smashed Spennymoor at home. South Shields, we beat the top teams. It's madness. We're struggling against the lesser teams.
But for me, that's always the case. We always struggle against the teams near the bottom for whatever reason. Yeah. It's not just this season; it's other seasons as well.
We're normally the team at the
bottom. True. But no, we do. We just seem to struggle for whatever reason. I don't know why. But as well, but going back to the Kings Lynn game, and it's like people were saying, "Oh, it's their cup final; they're up for it, and what have you." I don't buy that. Yeah, it's good that they're playing Scunthorpe, whatever. But we're blowing teams off the pitch at home, and for me, that's more of a cup final for them coming to a proper ground.
Yeah, I agree. I think we kind of flatter ourselves a bit sometimes when we say stuff like that. I mean, like, I know I joke, fucking hell, I'm the biggest offender. We're absolutely massive. But if I'm being honest, I think we're doing ourselves a little bit of a disservice by saying, teams are going to be massively up for playing us as they are versus any other team. Yeah. Listen, mate, this is our level now. This is our level, and this is where we are. We need to get real. And if we don't start turning up when we're playing away from home, we ain't going up.
Yeah, I mean, Kings won the National League 2 years ago. You know, but played Wrexham, plenty of not, plenty of other clubs bigger than us. Stockport were in the National League North not that long ago. They've played plenty of these clubs. Again, on a all things being equal, they're probably slightly better supported than we are. York were in here a couple of years ago. They're probably similar-ish to us. Yeah, we've just got to pack it in. I mean, obviously the next away game is Hereford. Last time I saw us play at Hereford, we were top of League One. So it's going to be a big test. You haven't got much margin for error when it's only one up automatically. But Marco made a really good point. We won away at Tamworth, when actually I didn't think we played that well, but we were gritty. We got it over the line and dug in. We beat South Shields and Spennymoor quite comfortably at home. So you've got to keep winning. I think 7 or 8 out of 10 in terms of the on-pitch stuff. The off-field stuff is the most important thing, because there's been points this season and last when it really looked like we might not have a football club. So when it was really concerning for us, we probably wouldn't have cared where we ended up in the National League North. So, yeah, we just want to make sure that we don't have regrets coming into the season, no matter where we finish.
No, cool. Right, we'll move on then to our hero, idiot, and moment of the week. So, Max, I'll kick off with you. Who's your hero of the week?
Right, my hero of the week is Italian, actually. I don't know whether or not it's not Marco, or his dad, or their pizza man. But it was an absolutely terrific clip doing the rounds of Torino were at home. It's Inter Milan, I want to say, and they've got mascots. They've got mascots lined up, all in like Inter Milan kits. The famous sort of blue and black stripes. And the camera gets about 7 along, and then this little kid, he didn't look any older than about 10 or 12, pulls up, and underneath, nobody's noticed, he's got a Torino kit on, and like the camera pauses and he goes to it and he's kissing the badge. Absolutely loved it. For compared to Inter Milan, they're a much smaller club. But I know for all of us who've maybe gone to school or gone to work with people who support much bigger clubs, some for good reasons, some for not, I thought that's exactly what I want to see in the next generation. It doesn't matter that they're not a big club, they're your club. Absolute legend, that little kid.
No, we love it. We love that passion. Gareth, yours?
Because I've not thought of anything, I'm going to be really boring and just go for everybody that's got this contract exchanged with the club. They're my heroes. Boring, I know.
It's not boring. It's just so predictable from you. If someone had said to me, "Yeah, no, not that you've not thought of anything. You're just a people pleaser." That's what you are, Gareth.
Well,
you're. Can I use the word sycophantical? I mean, I don't even know if it is a word.
No. It's okay. Sycophantical. You have made up.
But it's a good one.
You could be a sycophant. You can show sycophancy. And
Gareth does that. Yeah, Gareth definitely shows that.
This podcast took a turn.
Marco, bring it back. Get us back on track.
Right. So, my heroes obviously went to the podcast for a few weeks now. I know you've all been asking. So, my heroes are everybody involved in our charity game. Obviously, we tweeted about it loads. We raised, I don't have a figure off the top of my head, but I know we raised a good amount for Sans charity. We won, which is also a surprise as well as anyone. Turns out Max is actually the ginger Cannavaro. So,
who knew?
But yeah, again, massive shout out to those lads we played. I thought were a fantastic set of lads who played in a good spirit. And yeah, we raised money, which is great. So everyone's my heroes. Everybody who donated, who doesn't play. I know there's quite a few down watching as well. So yeah, massive thanks.
Well, do you know what? That is right, Marco. I'm going to give you the points for that. For the heroes of the week. Although I've just ripped into you, Gareth, I was going to say, for me, you were my hero of the week that week when you scored that goal. I mean, I've never seen anyone so excited.
Other than you.
Listen. Let's play nicely, Gareth. There's no need for this. I would never rip into you publicly, so.
No. Yeah, well, I had to bring it back for the team, didn't I, to show a bit of willing. Someone.
Show a bit of what?
My name's Gareth, not Jack.
We were 3-0 down against the Curtin over 30s when Gareth scored, and I've never celebrated being 3-1 down as much as I did on that random pitch of grass in East Holton.
I was going to say, or as Marco called them in the pre-match team talk, Curtin Lindsay's pensioners club.
I see a different side of me comes out when I'm playing football. I'm not a nice guy.
You're a nasty guy. Right, let's move on then. So who's your idiot of the week? Gareth, who's yours?
Mine, the barmaid at the Lord Napier pub in Kings Lynn.
Yes, what a shout!
Basically, I'd gone and bought some pork crackling, the soft variety. I had 2 bags. First bag tasted lovely. The second bag had a funny taste to it. And basically, it was out of date on the 23rd of September.
Yeah. Listen, it's a best before, guys. Let's, we're splitting hairs. It's a best before.
It was out of date. Tasted rank. And I went back and I said, it's out of date. She said, do you want anything else instead? I said, no, I'd just like my £1 back. And she said, I don't know if we can do that. And I said, well, health and safety will be coming tomorrow morning. And she said, I can get you your £1, basically.
Oh my God.
Gareth, you are an absolute knob.
Exactly. Tight northerner.
I was there, and that is exactly how it happened.
I'm going to call you Karen Holden.
Karen Holden. Marco, who's your idiot of the week?
Well, how can I top that? The poor barmaid, just doing a job. Right.
Well, I'll tell you how you top it. If your idiot of the week is Gareth, I'll give you the point. Let me tell you now.
So my idiot is the world of boxing. I don't know if anyone's seen. I was like a little kid yesterday. I got so excited seeing this. What was it? Yeah. The card got announced. I saw Joshua. I saw Wilder, and everyone's like, "It's happening. It's finally happening." They're all on the card. They're just not fighting each other. And honestly, it's absolutely mental. We've got these heavyweights. And but the thing that worries me, and this is why I chose them as my idiots, they're not all young. And when they're getting these amounts of money that are in Saudi Arabia, rumoured to be up to like 50 million a fight, they only need 1 or 2 of these and they can retire. And we're going to go through a point where the best aren't going to afford the best. And I just think as boxing fans, we're all going to miss out on a lot of good fights due to money, greed, and it's nothing against Saudi Arabia, because if I was a boxer, I'd be fighting there. But it's just so disheartening and gutting.
50 million, that's our wage budget, isn't it, according to some fans in our league? Some of the stuff I've been reading on Twitter, you'd think that was our bloody wage budget. But anyway, Max, who's your idiot of the week?
I mean, it's a tough one to fight. A bit like I wanted to flip on its head. I was trying to think of an idiot to do with a charity game, but I really struggled because it was such a good day. So in the end, I went to Gloucester City's number 4. And for anybody who's watched Gareth's vlog, after obviously he'd come out of the away end and was sat in his normal pew for the second half, it was the injury time tackle from a Tyrone, and he might pronounce it Duffus, but I'm going to pronounce it Doofus, because it was an absolutely vicious challenge on scales. It was a proper honker. It should have been a proper honker of a red card. If Scales' leg had been trapped in the ground for, very possibly just a couple of seconds, it could have been a real leg breaker or, a nasty ankle twister that could have had him on the sideline for months and months and months. The game was gone. Why are you potentially risking somebody's career with that? And I know for those who saw one of my challenges that he's holding them. I think it's a bit hypocritical. But yeah, I just thought it was dangerous. It was so needless. Like, why? Yeah, shocking challenge. Shame on Doofus.
Yeah, it was off the scales, wasn't it?
Oh God.
He's been waiting all week for that.
No, I've been waiting for 2 minutes. I was just waiting for you to shut up so I could get the gag in. Anyway,
right, well, I'm not getting the point then. Who is?
No, I'm going to give you the points actually because you set me up for a joke. So,
Hey, you can't ask for spending more than that.
Go on, Gareth. It's your turn to be funny.
Well,
oh no, possible. I'm too busy complaining to the barmaid, actually. So we'll move on then to the moment of the week. Marco, hit me up with yours.
So we've actually discussed mine. Mine was, I thought I'd got the wrong game on the telly. King's Lynn fan singing, "Nobody likes us." Nobody knows you. Never mind likes us. I was baffled, honestly. That's my moment, idiot, everything, you name it. Like I said, Barry said it was some crew chant, and I fully believe it. I hope we don't have any more fans as bad as them. They were shocking.
Max?
You sort of half referred to it. I think my moment of the week was coming out of Banbury. Apart from possibly Grimsby away, I genuinely struggle to think of a time I've seen so many police officers for a game in the 6th tier of English football. You know, when we were stood quite close to the barrier in the away end, as it were, on the behind the goal. Not only had they put up some sort of like corrugated wire to stop us getting at the Banbury fans, they then put almost like a tarpaulin up as well, held down by concrete, so we couldn't even see them. Yeah,
that'll do the trick. Put the fans behind a black curtain.
I wasn't there. Was that
pantomime trick? Like we're going to pull out a rabbit or something? Absolutely, yeah. The whole policing, it's just so over the top. I mean, I know there's been the odd whisper of the odd bit of trouble at Banbury games previously, but you know, it's a market town in Oxfordshire. It's not exactly the old firm, is it? And then driving away, and I've never seen somebody so pleased with themselves. Speaking of dad jokes, my friend Joe was driving, and we were pulling out, and we've come up to about the 40th police officer at this junction, and he winds the window down and he shouts, "Officer, there's been a robbery. We've got 3 points," and then drives off. And you just
do you know what's happened there, mate? I told him that I did that in the Halifax game. I told him about 10 minutes before that, and Marco can testify that I did in fact do that.
It's true. Well, so on a side note, that was probably the best car journey of my life.
Yeah, I don't know. Coming back from Port Vale where we lost, that was a pretty good one as well. Like I remember you saying, Marco, imagine what would be like if we actually won a game.
And I think that was Halifax.
Was it? Maybe.
I think it was. I just remember seeing the look on the police officers' faces. They've gone, "This isn't why I got into the police." You think, "No, I'll be improving communities." No, I'm stood at a T-junction outside Banbury versus Scunthorpe with 30
on a side note, like you meant, I saw. I wasn't at the Banbury game. I saw on your pictures, Barry, that the sort of black tarpaulin, so you couldn't see the fans. Was that just for this game, or is it normally segregated like that, or does it look like it's just been sort of rushed for this game?
I don't know. I was going to say something nasty, but I won't bother. Gareth, what was your moment of the week?
Oh God, yeah.
My moment of the week. As soon as we've got Banbury, and it was over a week ago, I'll stick with Banbury. And it was their chant of, "You're just a town full of pedos." Which, when we look into the books, we find Gary Glitter is actually from Banbury. So we will just leave it there.
They didn't like that.
Did any of us mention that to the Banbury fans?
It might have been mentioned. It might have been mentioned. But yeah, that was my moment of the week. I was going to choose today's announcement, but I thought, no, we'll go Banbury.
Actually, that was the moment when not being able to see them made it even funnier, because when the Scunthorpe fans started singing that, all you could hear was
Yeah.
was the fury of them. Like God knows what they were doing behind that curtain. Yeah, well
kids.
done to whoever first twigged that Gary Glitter was from Banbury.
I think it was Declan Murray who tipped me off, I think. Anyway, I'm going to give you the points, Gareth, which sets it up nicely for the quiz round, actually. So we're all level on one apiece. So I don't know if we've got time for the extra round. We'll go for the Scunthorpe questions straight away. The season in feature this week is the 2004-2005 promotion season, where the Iron famously finished second. Gareth, are you having a breakdown?
No, I'm just thinking. My memory's shocking as it is, but going back that far, carry on.
Okay, right. I'll kick off then with. I want to give Max the hardest one because I feel like Max will probably perform the best. So I'll kick off with this one, Max.
First time I've heard that in a while.
So, well, you've never heard it, have you? Let's be right about it. So the Iron kicked off the 04-05 season versus Rochdale. Can you tell me the score?
Yeah, we beat them 3-1. Rochdale, I believe Rochdale took the lead as well, and they were winning 1-0, and then we scored the 3 in a row.
Who scored? I mean, you've already got the point, but
that is a more difficult one. I want this. Rochdale's goal was a penalty that was a softest shot, I seem to remember. For us, did Matt Sparrow score one? I want to say
he did. Yeah, Sparrow got one. It was Cleveland Taylor and Paul Hayes.
There we go.
Okay, so I don't know who. I don't want to stitch Marco up because I feel like history maybe isn't his strong point.
Yeah, I'm going to struggle. I was 10. In fact, I think my first game was the season before, towards the end. But I'll have a bat at it, as you would say.
You'll have a good go. You'll have a bat at it. The Iron finished second that season. Which team won the league?
Well, 4 or 5. Right. I could be completely wrong here. Swansea?
Oh my God! Did they finish third?
Yeah.
I think they finished third.
Yeah.
Oh,
correct.
God.
Great guess.
That is a good guess.
I do know the answer.
I'm not going to give you the points because you're already way ahead, and I want to at least make the last question competitive. But yeah, what's the answer?
Does Gareth know first?
No, I don't even know what order I've packed here on for Debbie.
It was Yeovil.
It was, yeah.
Who are now, of course, also in the 6th tier.
Yeah, it was Yeovil. So, Iron Army, it's your chance to take it to a tie-break. So, prior to the FA Cup third round game against Chelsea, the famous game, the Iron knocked who out in the second round, winning 2-0 live on Sky Sports.
I
know. What's that, sorry?
Not got a Scooby.
Really? I remember this crystal clear.
Genuinely, my memory is shocking. Genuinely, honestly, not got a clue.
That's why you watched it, so we can look back on it.
I remember this crystal clear. Max, do you want to finish it off?
I'll give Marco a chance of guessing first.
He ain't gonna know, is he? Fucking hell.
Stockport.
No.
Yeah.
Not a million miles off geographically. I mean, not close, correct. But not a million miles off.
It was Wrexham.
It was Wrexham.
First goal was theoretically given to Lee Ridley, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
Absolutely massive deflection.
Biggest own goal I've ever seen. He basically put it in his own net, didn't he?
And who scored the second goal? Better Hayes again.
Can't remember. I haven't written it down. I thought it might have been a corner. I thought, but so I was thinking maybe Colts or something. But
what was the extra round? What was the tiebreak?
So we had a tiebreak, but we also had 3 additional questions which were non-Scunthorpe United related. But I don't know what we're like for time. Do you want to hear the tiebreak?
Yeah. Well, do both. This is a bumper podcast since we're catching up. So
it has been a while.
Bumper podcast, right? So let's go for the extra round then. So theoretically, Max only has a 2-1 lead, so it is all still in play. So I'll come to you last, Max, because if you got the first question right, then it's game over, isn't it? So in spotlight for this round is the 2002 FIFA World Cup. So 3 questions on the World Cup of that year. So I'm probably going to go for the easiest one for Marco again. Okay. So Marco, who eliminated Ireland in the round of 16 on penalties? Yeah, I know. Listen, Max, of course we know.
Is it South Korea?
No, it's not, I'm afraid. Max,
I remember who South Korea did eliminate, though.
That was disgusting. That's the first time I've been scared of my dad, I think. I just remember I was only very young, and I just remember him. I mean, he's in prison now, a referee, believe it or not, for bribery. What went to that?
Max, who was it?
It was Spain.
It was Spain.
Ireland played very well and were unlucky, particularly as obviously they played that tournament without their best player in Roy King, because he buggered off home.
Yeah. Okay, so the next easiest question, if it is like this, Iron Army, is who did England draw 0-0 with on their final group game?
Colombia.
Do you watch football?
No.
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 Okay, no. So it wasn't. Does anyone else know?
Paraguay.
No, it was Nigeria, which actually I had to check because I thought it was Cameroon, but anyway, I could remember it was an African country. I got the wrong one. So, Max, you've already won. This is your chance to finish it off in style. I'd say this is the hardest question of the lot. So, Turkey versus South Korea was the 3rd, 4th place playoff game. What was the score?
I mean, that is the hardest question. See, I was trying to think if I thought it might have gone extra time. I'll go for 2-1 Turkey.
Ooh, it was actually 3-2 to Turkey.
Ooh.
So
was that in 90 minutes? Have I just made up extra time?
I don't know. I don't know, mate.
Well, South Korea knowledge is poor, Barra.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
What was the tiebreaker?
It was how many appearances has Andy Butler made for Scunthorpe United?
You're obsessed.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what, I've gone off him a little bit.
Did you dirty, didn't you, the other day?
Gareth, don't need to explain. No one needs to know what happened, but do you know what? He's maybe not the man I thought he was. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh.
I don't know how many appearances.
Well, I'm the quiz master, so it kind of ruins it if I tell you the answer.
Are you going league and cup?
Yes.
So he would have made his debut. 03-04.
Do you know that meme? You know that meme where there's like the mathematic formula going on. There's just clouds and numbers. That's what I'm seeing from Max. Just give me a number, mate. You're not going to get it right, so you might as well just have a guess.
187.
Jesus Christ, you're right. No, you're not. I'm joking. It was
161.
Gareth?
178.
174.
Oh.
So yeah. Right. So should we have the Iron Stats of the week? Provided by Iron Stats, who you can find on Twitter or X, who's conveniently called Iron Stats, which also reminds me to tell you to follow us on Twitter at the Iron Hour Podcast. And one thing I should have said as well, which is now the opportunity is gone, is if you like playing along with our quizzes, please feel free to play along and also message us suggestions for future questions, because it's very hard coming up with some of these questions.
We really need them, because we've been talking about South Korea World Cup for the last 10 minutes.
Yes. So, Iron Stats of the week. Jacob Butterfield has now been involved in 8 goals in his last 8 appearances. That's 4 goals and 4 assists over the last 8 games for the Iron. The Iron have scored 40 goals this season, and 18 players have scored and or registered an assist. Looking ahead to Saturday's game against Darlington, Our last win in any cup competition was back in January 2020 with a 3-1 win over Man City under 21s. That was in the EFL Trophy. That's a run of 15 cup games without a win. And he just wanted me to make the point that that's not including, obviously, the Lincolnshire Cup because that's not a senior competition. So, and then the final one to finish on is one that he actually tweeted earlier, which is the kind of the stats from our time at Glanford Park so far, which is 942 games, 410 wins, 260 draws, 272 defeats. We've conceded 1,138 goals, but managed to score a whopping 1,453. Which means, what's that, another 47? Could it come this season? Is that probably a bit too, maybe next season? Maybe in the promotion push next season? Yes, it might come Saturday. Probably won't, though, but it might do. So, I guess, should we just look ahead briefly then to the Darlington game, guys? Max, what's kind of your views going into the game? Is it one you're not necessarily up for, or...?
I think it's a good one to have after Kings Lynn because you would have us as favourites really. Obviously Darlington had an even rougher Tuesday night than we did, lost 8-0 to Chorley. Or I believe they did play. They were down to 10 men after 5 minutes, so probably a bit of a chastening evening for them. We played very well against them in the league. I'm looking for exactly the same performance. I'd be interested to see what kind of side Dean sets up with. Could be an opportunity for him to make a few changes if he's so inclined. Might we see Chapman? Might we see Bennett starting, for example? You look at players like Kelly, Wilson, and that there are changes he could make if he wanted to rotate them. And if he did, good opportunity for those players to impress and try and pose some questions for Dean when it comes to league games.
Absolutely. Right, we'll finish on our shout outs then. So there's 3 people I thought we should maybe give a shout out to this week. So the first one is Rick Waterworth over from Australia. He's one of the most active people on our social media feeds. He's always kind of like interacting with us, and I really enjoy some of the conversations I had with him actually. So just wanted to give a big shout out to Rick and just say to you, Rick, up the iron. And when England do take the Ashes back next time round, I will be over and we'll enjoy a Diet Coke together. Just, I haven't told Kat yet, but it's on my list of things.
you won't tell Kat until you're in the departure lounge at Heathrow Airport.
Possibly, it might be later than that. It might be at the point where we've just taken a wicket and I just send her a picture of,
you're there on Sky Sports going like that.
Yeah, Jimmy Anderson wheeling away at age 74, and I'm just there like... Anyway, also, Tom, you mentioned him earlier, Iron Filing Tom. I forgot his surname. Was it Snowden, did you say? Yeah, so I met Tom for the first time again at the Banbury game, believe it or not. I kind of messaged and spoke to him virtually or online before, but I'd not met him in person. So it was really nice, actually, to get chatting to him. And he seems like a really nice guy. And also the work he'd done on organising the Unity March, as we talked about, was so vital for kind of camaraderie at the time. So again, just a big shout out to Tom. And the third one is our old friend Mike at Curtin Lindsay over 30s. Just wanted to say, thanks for indulging us with the game, and best of luck for your upcoming season. And we'll have the replay. We'll run it back and do you again.
I haven't got a new kit.
Fighting talk. Only if we raise another couple of £100 for a great charity.
Indeed. Right, so that's it from us. I've been Barra. Been joined by Iron Army, Marco, and Max. Big thank you for listening, and up the iron.
Up the iron. Up the iron.
Up the iron.